Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line, talking all about the census. It happens every 10 years, and it's about to happen now. It's going to happen in March. You'll start getting these mailers, things in the mail. Then people will come to your door if you don't fill those out. Or, I mean, this year you can register online, or you could call. So there are all kinds of things you can do. In a moment, we're going to talk about the jobs that pay really well. But let's go to Jeb here. Hello, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I was wondering how you would go about counting people such as the homeless or people who might not want to be counted.
Right. Yeah. Homeless or people who don't want to be counted. But how do you count the homeless, first of all?
We have a process. We actually work with social service agencies wherever we're working to identify places where people who are experiencing homeless might congregate or receive services, and on one day we go out and we count them all there. Many people might be familiar with the point-in-time count that is used to identify services for people experiencing homelessness. We piggyback on that. We have to do our own count because the census needs to be a standalone effort, but we count people who are experiencing homelessness as well as people living in group facilities, and our goal and our intent is to count every single person.
And I think homeless wouldn't necessarily be people who don't want to be counted. Let's assume they want to be counted. Then you have the other group of people that just don't want to be counted. How do you count them?
We, through a lot of outreach, through working with our partners, we are developing relationships with organizations throughout the city of Nashville and all over Tennessee to identify trusted voices in the community and find people who can help us get to the reasons that those people might not want to be counted, and to get the message to them that being counted bears no risk for them. There's nothing, there's no way that could harm them. And for people who maybe don't want to be on the government's radar, we try to overcome that with the idea and the certainty that being counted benefits everyone in the community, and that really we all owe it to each other to make sure that we're counted.
And the Cooper administration, our mayor's office, has agreed to steer a committee of a vast group of community leaders, over 100 people, work on 5 subcommittees that work on trying to reach out to all those minority communities, all those groups that have concerns about it. So we have a community subcommittee, a religious subcommittee, a business subcommittee, a communication subcommittee. I'll give an example of something the business subcommittee has done. It was able to work with Kroger and Walmart to be able to have kiosks at the grocery store. So somebody that doesn't have a computer at home can come to the grocery store and complete a census form right there. So the idea is to find not only the people that don't want to be counted, but the people that maybe have an issue, that don't have access to a computer, or they need help completing a form. So this has been an amazing experience for me to work with such a diverse group of people that are very committed to making sure we have a good count and learning from all the issues that different groups have when it comes to earning that trust.
How much money is at stake for the city of Nashville? It's no doubt, we have budget issues. We need money.
Yeah.
If we mess this up, how much could we lose?
Well, I think it's $1,000 per person a year. So if we don't get, if like she was saying before, 20%, let's say it was 10%. So do 10% of 700,000. That's 70,000 people times $1,000 a year. Will be getting all that less money from the federal government. The state will get it, and then we will actually not get it either. So it does make a difference when we are not counted properly. It hurts our bottom line, and it actually has an impact on our taxes, because now to provide the same level of services that the community wants to see happen, it puts a strain on that. So we really want to make sure that we know everybody that resides in Nashville, Tennessee, and in the surrounding counties, obviously, so we can actually get the services that the federal government wants to give us. I mean,
wow, $1,000 per person. Wow. All right, let's go to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hey.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm thinking, we can make this a whole lot easier if we just do it by Social Security numbers. How many people are in America? Well, everybody here either working or born here, or even not born here, but doing something productive here. and you do it by Social Security numbers. And all you have to do is put your Social Security number there. Every apartment complex requires Social Security numbers. If you're buying a house, they require your Social Security number. If you get a bank account, they require your Social Security number and your address. So pretty much that can identify where you live, what you're doing, and how many people are in your house. I don't understand why it's that difficult. I don't even know why they even send these papers out to do a census when they can simply do it in Washington using Social Security numbers and identifying where people live and where people work and what they do.
All right, that's a good question. All right, Joe, thank you. What about that?
Well, Social Security numbers, not everyone has one. I mean, the fact is we have a lot of people living in this nation that do not have a Social Security number for a wide variety of reasons. But also, the census asks for additional information that your Social Security number wouldn't have. Really, your Social Security number identifies where you were born. It does not give you information about where you're living now and how many people are living in the household. So the census does use the last 4 digits of a Social Security number as part of an identifier, but I'd just like to say, because that reminded me of something very, very important. There are people who try to take advantage of the fact that it's a census year to basically scam others and get a hold of their hard-earned money. So I'd like to just put out some information about how you can be aware and protect yourself from that. So the Census Bureau will not contact you via email and ask you for any information. So if you receive an email that seems to be from the Census Bureau, it is not. Just delete it and go on. If the Census Bureau calls you, it will be only to follow up on information that you've already provided or to verify information, or perhaps, for instance, the example from before, to find out if this child is being counted twice. The Census Bureau will not offer you any incentives to respond to the census. They will not ask you for any of your banking or credit information. So just be aware, it's a fine line that we have to walk between making sure that people are not afraid to respond to the census, which will come to you only via the U.S. mail, and then making sure that people take care of themselves and are protected from being taken advantage of.
Don't give out that private information over the phone, or don't do that. Okay, all right, that's important, because I bet there will be these scams. And I think Joe's question is something people might ask. Why not just, it seems like in this day and time you could do it more easily, but what you're saying is there are a lot of people that don't have a Social Security number for whatever reason. There are a lot of people that wouldn't be counted if we did it that way.
Well, and then we wouldn't have information about them, all of the information that we need to have. You know, an interesting fact about this census, it's the first one in the history of the world that was created in order to give people power over their government instead of to tax or conscript them. And how that relates to the Social Security number issue for me is that tracking people via the Social Security number is one way that we do things like taxes, and we make sure that people are working in a legal way. But the census has 2 functions. It is only to make sure that we have fair representation in the House of Representatives, for one, and also in the Constitution, it exists to make sure that resources are shared among the states.
Okay.
I also want to say that, I'm sorry, that
no, go ahead, that's great.
You know, we started the program saying, like, if you have a concern about privacy issues, data issues, child custody issues, we don't want to, the census is not going to impact that at all. If we were to start asking for Social Security numbers, then that will muddle the waters. We really want to count everybody, regardless of their situation. The objective of this is to know who lives in Tennessee, who lives in Nashville, what are these families about, what do they need, what do they do, and that's going to help us with better policy.
Help us with better policy. Okay, let's go to Jim. Hello, Jim.
Yes. You know, I just have a few thoughts here.
Okay.
I guess you answered something about, you know, the census does account for representation as far as the House of Representatives go. And I just really have a hard time. I love my fellow immigrants, my fellow Hispanics, my brothers and sisters. I've got great friends that are Hispanics. They came here legally. And I just, you know, you've got to come through that front door. And if they are here illegally, there's 2 things. Number one, they shouldn't be voting, number one, at all. They should never have the opportunity to vote if they broke the law and came into this country illegally. Number 2, they shouldn't be counted in the census, because I certainly don't want a representative to be given to the state of Tennessee or to California or to wherever if it's going for a legal representation. I just don't. I think it's completely wrong. I mean, and especially that $1,000 per person. I mean, that's just not, you're not plucking that off the trees. That's our tax dollars.
Right.
It's our tax dollars, our hard-earned money, and I don't want $1,000 of for each person if they came here illegally. It just frustrates me so bad. We have to have immigration. We all know that. It has to be legal immigration. You have to come through the front door. Then you can be paying your federal taxes. You're going to get we're going to know who you are. You're going to be, tracked like all of us, just like everybody else. We're nations of law. Thank you.
All right. So
I totally agree with him that people shouldn't vote if they're not citizens, and actually they don't vote if they're not citizens. So I totally wholeheartedly agree with him. But they do pay taxes. Every person in Tennessee, we don't have an income tax, so every person that pays rent or buy groceries or does whatever pays taxes. So how do we know how to use the money, how to make sure that we are investing that money in the places where people are to provide the level of services that makes everybody's lives better? And that's through the census. So if we don't count everybody, we will be actually driving with blindfolds. We wouldn't really know which way we're going because we wouldn't have a good sense of how things are. But I applaud his comment and I back it up 200%. People that are not citizens shouldn't vote. It took me over 10 years to become a citizen, and I was very proud that I could vote, and I think that's the way it should be. So thank you for that comment.
Okay. What do you have to say? I'm sure you hear similar sentiments. What do you have to say?
I know that people have strong feelings about this, and our goal at the Census Bureau is to make sure we count every single person, because every single person benefits from the services that are funded for our community based on our numbers. Our Constitution asks us to count and to assign representation and funding by our numbers, and so that's what we're going to do. It sounded like he might have been a little confused on where the funding goes. It doesn't go to the person, so the person isn't receiving that money. It actually comes to our state and our local governments through a variety of means. Actually, even grants can be based on our census figures. So, it's used to benefit everyone.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. All right, thank you for those calls. Lines are open if you want to call in with a question, comment. I don't think we got to the job part. All right, so we're going to get to the job part next segment. We're going to take a break here, but if you want to call in, there's a number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.